everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Jess and today's video is going to be the second update of my Defeat the TBR challenge. I've had a really good reading month. I think I've read 9 books in total. So yeah, let's go through what I purchased this month and also what I have read this past month. Also, we'll reference that Luke is in the background. It's not just some random person just sat there. Okay, so the first book that I read in February was The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. This was a new release from January and I did talk about it, that being a book that I was currently reading at the end of last month. I really liked this. This was very different to the Folk of the Air trilogy. I actually think I might enjoy the way this was written more. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. It just didn't give me that 5-star there-ness. I loved the ending. I know a lot of people don't love the ending, but I really did enjoy the ending. I liked the way it ended. I think it definitely leaves a good tone for the next book to come out. Although I did research and the next book is coming out in 2024, so I have got to wait now a whole year for the next book to come out, which is kind of annoying because the ending is kind of cliffhanger-y. But yeah, this was really great. I'm so happy that I brought this in hardback. I think a lot of the time I second guess buying a book in hardback because if you don't like it, they're quite expensive. And if you don't end up liking the book, then you've just spent £20 roughly on a book that you don't enjoy. So I normally will buy a paperback or wait for a book to come out in paperback, but because I loved the Folk of Air series so much from her, I decided to buy this paperback and I'm so happy that I did because I think this may even end up topping the Folk of Air series for me, which is a bold statement considering that is literally one of my like 6-star series. But yeah, this was so good. A couple of people and like mixed opinions on whether you need to read the Folk of Air before reading this. I personally would say you definitely do, and I had those same sentiments after finishing this book, that you definitely have to read the original trilogy in order to read this because the characters are mentioned. You'll have no connection to those characters if you have not read the Folk of Air trilogy. However, I would also say that this is written a lot differently to the Folk of Air trilogy, so if you didn't enjoy it and it wasn't like a 5-star read for you, then this may have that potential that you kind of felt you missed with the Folk of Air trilogy. So this would take our total on the TBR down to 74 books. I purchased a book and that was A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J Maas. This was one that I kind of had to purchase in order to continue the series, the ACOTAR series. Without this book, I could not finish the series and I was just dying to get into the last book in the series. This is the only novella in the series that is currently published and I didn't love this one. This was probably my least favourite book out of the whole kind of book series, to be honest. I think I actually ended up giving it 3 stars. It doesn't mean that it wasn't well written, it's just that there was a lot less kind of plot development and a lot less going on, I felt, with this book. It was more about recovering and celebrating, which was really nice to see after all the hardship that they've had through the series. Then I picked up A Court of Silver Flames right after finishing A Court of Frost and Starlight. I really liked this one, and this comes from a Nesta hater. If you guys don't know, this is a book that focuses on Nesta. I don't want to spoil anything that happens in here, but I will say I was someone who could not get along with Nesta's character at all, like throughout the whole series. Even at the beginning of this book, you still hate her. Let it be known, you still hate her. But there was a scene in here that literally had me sobbing, and I don't think I've ever seen anyone else cry at this book, I don't think. Maybe I'm just a weakling, or maybe I just relate to her character a little bit, but I cried at a scene in here and it was so good. This is definitely the spiciest book in the whole of the series that has been released up to this year, so I would definitely keep that in mind. If you're someone who likes to read closed door books, this is definitely not closed. This is 1,000,000% open door and with quite a bit of spice. The spice scenes I personally feel are written really well. This was just so good. I binge read this, I think, in 2 sittings, and this book is thick, like, let it be known. I think this is the biggest one in the series and it's almost 800 pages long. Yeah, I ended up giving this one 5 stars, as you guys probably guessed from my raving about it, but I really love this one. And I know this is a lot of people's least favourite book in the series, but for me, my least favourite was definitely the novella, and I really loved the A Court of Silver Flames. I picked up another book from my physical already owned TBR, and that is Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas. I was on a Sarah J Maas binge, and let me tell you, if I could find the next book in this series when I was in Exeter, I would have definitely have continued reading this series. I really enjoyed this first book. I actually think I gave it 4 stars. I really love this. I don't think there's anything that Sarah J Maas could come out with that I wouldn't like. I was in Exeter for 2 weeks and I took one book with me to Exeter to read like on the train and things. But when I was out and about, or like when I was waiting for my friend to finish her lectures and things like that, I didn't have anything to read like on me, so I ended up downloading some books from Kindle. Of course they're smut books or romance books because it wouldn't be me if not. So I then purchased 3 books. So the first one that I brought was To Hate Adam Connor by Ella Mays, and I read this one straight away. I really enjoyed this one. I think I ended up giving it 3 stars. I know a lot of people rate it like 4 stars. This was a romance between a kind of like broody film actor and someone who had just kind of lost their way in life after having a heartbreak and didn't believe in love anymore because of that heartbreak. And I really liked it. I liked the way that they worked together and kind of figured everything out at their own pace. I brought and read The Last Vampire by R.A. Stephen. I think there is a second author in this as well. I think it's a dual written. I think I gave this one 3 stars as well. I wasn't obsessed with it and I found it had quite some odd pacing. And then I also read The Billionaire's Secret Heart by Ivy Lane. She writes really well actually. I really enjoyed the way that she wrote, I believe. And then I read Ash Princess by Laura Sebastian. This was a book that was already on my pre-owned TBR at the beginning of this year. This was really interesting. This is a lot darker than I assumed it to be. I thought this was young adult. I don't know if I was right with that anymore. This is the beginning of a trilogy, which is not great because I am probably halfway through 40 series right now, but we're not going to talk about it. This had a lot of dark topics in it, and I didn't expect it to be as dark as it was, and I found the magic system in here very interesting. I really enjoyed that and seeing the level of kind of power that it gave you. The way this book ends definitely makes you want to read the next book in the series, unown it, and I'm not going to buy it straight away, I don't think. I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed the writing style. I do think the pacing was pretty good throughout. I didn't have any moments where I was like, I'm so bored. None of those moments happened in this book, so that is also another positive. And I also love the way that there's like this forbidden romance plot intertwined with it, but it's also could be it's almost like a love triangle, I guess. But I am interested to see where this series goes. I would like to read it by the end of this year, like finish the next 2 books in the series by the end of this year. I just want to get through a couple more books from my TBR beforehand. I think I gave this 3 stars. Okay, and with that puts us with less in the physical TBR than there was at the end of last month, at the end of January. However, in Exeter I did do some book shopping. I didn't just download and read Kindle books, I also brought books. I saw Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson, and I immediately wanted to pick this up. The second book, I think this is a duology, but the second book was not there, otherwise I would have just got the duology. But this book I heard Hayley Pham talk about, and I trust her book recommendations to the death. I really do trust her opinions on books, and all the books that I have read upon her recommendation I have loved. I will read you the synopsis. Hold on. No matter what you do, survive, no matter who you have to kill. A formidable outlaw family that claims to be the first among nations, a son destined to lead, thrust suddenly into power. 3 fierce young women of Rattan, the Queen's premier guard. A legendary street thief leading a mission determined to prove herself, and a dark secret that threatens the entire continent. Set in the world of the Remnant Chronicles, when outlaw leader Jace meets reformed thief Kazai, and a cat and mouse game of false moves ensues, bringing them intimately together in a battle that may cost them their lives and their hearts. I believe this is fantasy romance, and I think that could be one of my new favourite genres. I saw that they had the whole trilogy for this actually, and that was the All Souls trilogy. But I've read the first book in this trilogy, so I just wanted to get the second book, so this is one that's going to allow me to like read the next book in a series. and that is Shadow of Night by Deborah Harkness. I'm really excited to read more about Matthew and Diana. Yeah, there's not really much else I can say about this one, to be fair, because it's the second book in a series and I don't want to spoil anything, so I definitely cannot read the synopsis. And then the final book that I brought when I was in Exeter is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This is set after the Caraval trilogy, I believe. I think so. I have not read that trilogy. I don't have any intention to read that trilogy, so I picked this one up, and this is my current read. I am currently reading this at the moment. I am on chapter 27, so I'm on page 176. I'm enjoying it so far. I will say I have had moments where I'm like a little bit bored or borderline bored with this, because I feel like it's got quite a slow pace to it. That is everything that I read and hauled this past month. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Let's see more videos from me, and I'll catch you guys all in the next one. Bye!